Have you ever considered that an ordinary blanket could be hiding a secret of fortune spanning not just a few lifetimes, but eons? It sounds incredible, right? Today, let's delve into this ancient wisdom of giving. We're going to explore a profound question. How can a single act of selfless generosity create a fortune that lasts for 91 kalpas? 91 kalpas, a time frame so vast it's beyond human comprehension. This truly is an unbelievable tale about the power of a simple gift, an eternal story that transcends time. Our story begins with a very special woman named Bai Jin, literally, pure white. She was born with an incredibly mysterious item, the white blanket of the finest quality wrapped around her. From the moment of her birth in the city of Shirvask, this miraculous blanket was her constant companion. It never left her side. But this was no ordinary blanket. It seemed to have a life of its own, growing with Bai Jin, expanding in size as she grew taller. Regardless of the weather, hot or cold, this blanket kept her perfectly comfortable. And here's the most amazing part. When she later decided to become a big Han, Buddha's nun, the blanket transformed right before everyone's eyes and became her Kashaya robe. Isn't that incredible? Witnessing this miracle, everyone was astonished. Nanda, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, couldn't help but ask the Buddha, world-honored one, what good deeds did Bai Jin perform in her past life to be blessed with such a miracle today? This was a great question. The Buddha's answer then takes us to the heart of the entire narrative. The ultimate sacrifice, a tattered blanket. The Buddha began to recount the story that took place a long time ago. The main characters were a married couple living in conditions of extreme, unimaginable poverty. The wife in this past life was named Donik. How poor were they? Their entire worldly possessions amounted to a single, dirty, and worn-out blanket. They were so destitute that they couldn't even leave the house at the same time. Only one person could wear the blanket to go out and beg for food, while the other had to stay home, naked, and wait. It was a miserable existence. Day after day, their life was the same, until one day, a monastic arrived at their home. This monk encouraged them, saying they should try to practice DNA, giving, generosity, to sow a good seed for their future. That simple sentence was like a ray of hope for Janak, the wife a chance to break the endless cycle of poverty. But imagine her husband's despair when he heard this. He was practical and cried out, "But we only have this one blanket. If we donate it, we'll both be left sitting here naked to freeze to death." Janaka's perspective, however, was completely different. Her vision had already transcended the immediate struggle for survival. With firm resolve, she said to her husband, "We all must die eventually. Instead of dying in this poverty, isn't it better to die after an act of giving? That way, we plant a seed of hope for our future." The power of this statement was immense. Her husband was completely stunned by her determination. In that single moment, all his fear of death and attachment to the blanket vanished. Instead, he was filled with joyful acceptance. He even began to urge his wife, "You're right. Death is certain. Quickly. Let's make the offering quickly." The chain reaction of pure intention. It was this decision, this simple, pure, and profound act of giving that set off a chain of immediate and astonishing reactions. The Buddha of that time received their dirty, worn-out blanket. In a grand assembly, he held up the blanket before everyone and declared that this was the most sincere offering of all. Why? Because he saw not the dirtiness of the cloth, but the spotless purity of the heart behind the gift. The ripple effect was instant. The pure seed, they donated their only possession with the purest, most sincere intention. It made a reward egocentric fruit. The king and queen present at the assembly were so moved by the story that they immediately sent the couple luxurious clothes, jewels, and treasures. Eternal fortune, selfless fruit. Most importantly, this single act of selfless generosity planted a colossal seed of merit for their distant future. How immense was this fortune? The Buddha revealed that because of that single offering, Donak, for the next 91 kalpas, a time period virtually immeasurable by human standards, would be reborn as Bai Jin, a woman from the beginning of the story, and would be accompanied by that miraculous garment in every single lifetime. The key had most sincerity in generosity. Hearing this, the question arises, what makes the donation of a worn-out blanket a seemingly small act capable of generating such an unbelievable, eternal force? The key lies in 4 words: utmost sincerity in generosity. Let's analyze their act of giving. Did they only give a blanket? No, they gave their only means of survival. their sole protection from the elements. A decision made by overcoming the ultimate fear of death. Furthermore, they performed this act with absolutely no thought of personal return. Their hearts were filled with joy, without the slightest hint of regret. This is sincerity. This story beautifully illustrates a universal principle. The value of an action is never determined by the monetary worth of the object, but by the purity and firmness of the giver's heart. The principle of true wealth, sowing the cause, not worrying about the effect. We can extend a deeper lesson from this story, a principle for creating true wealth and genuine fortune. It is the principle we often hear: only focus on the sowing, the effort, not on the harvest, the result. This contrasts to completely different mindsets. Focusing on the cause, sowing, this means performing an action out of a selfless intention, believing in the process, and letting go of the outcome. When you do this, your heart is peaceful, and the abundant harvest will naturally arrive. Focusing on the effect, calculating, this means performing an action while constantly calculating what you will gain. Trying to control the result ultimately leads only to anxiety, greed, and disappointment. The fundamental shift here is realizing that we often think getting makes us wealthy, but in truth, genuine wealth comes from giving. When we practice dhyana with a sincere heart, the act of giving itself is an act of enrichment. It is not a loss. It is the best, most profound investment in one's future. Our final thought, so let's ponder this question together. If we could live our lives guided by the wisdom of only focus on the sowing, only focus on the effort, and don't worry about the harvest. If we could focus on the quality of our every action and the goodness in our hearts in the present moment, what kind of unimaginable, beautiful rewards do you think would be waiting for us in the future?